Here's the simple truth. Our current criminal justice system is too punitive and it's too ineffective at fulfilling its purpose, keeping Illinois families safe. That means all of our families, no matter where they live, no matter what their income level is, no matter what the color of their skin. Juvenile justice facilities all around the nation were built on an antiquated theory of juvenile incarceration. Large, stark, razor-wired, warehouse-like facilities built far away from the homes and families of the children who will eventually return to their communities. Think about that. The facilities that should, in theory, be nurturing children and rehabilitating them in their adolescence instead exacerbate trauma, interfere with their family relationships, and create a culture of instability and violence. And in yet another example of systemic discrimination, the criminal justice system sends a disproportionate number of young people of color into the system. Black children, who make up just 15% of Illinois' total youth population, make up more than 70% of the kids in DJJ facilities. The most important point, though, is this. The 150-year-old punitive model simply doesn't fulfill its mission. On average, between 2010 and 2018, 55% of kids released by the DJJ system returned to the DJJ system. An essential tenet of good government is recognizing the need to change the laws and the systems that have failed the people that they serve. And it means doing everything in our power to reverse the tide. It's in that spirit that Lieutenant Governor Stratton, DJJ Director Heidi Mueller, and I are here today to announce the 21st Century Illinois Transformative Model, a nation-leading restorative justice plan that will completely overhaul the state's juvenile justice system in the next 4 years. We're transforming our juvenile justice system from one that disproportionately harms Black youth and families and communities to one that supports all Illinois youth, families, and communities more equitably. Under the plan, we will transition residents to smaller therapeutic residential centers in the region where these young people come from. Invest significantly in community wraparound support and intervention services for justice-involved youth, and increase financial support for victim services, predominantly in communities that are disproportionately impacted by violence. We've developed this model based upon decades of research, and I'm particularly proud that here in Illinois, we will be working directly with youth and families who've been impacted by the system as it has existed for years. Already under my administration and with the outstanding leadership of its director, the Department of Juvenile Justice has reduced the total number of youth in care from 282 in January of 2019, when I took office, to 97 on June 30, 2020. But there's so much more that needs to be done. And while I wish that we could undo the injustices of the past or make whole the young lives that were harmed, what we can do is reinvent our path forward. And so we are. I want to give a special shout out and recognition to the many activists and advocates who have dedicated years, if not decades, to lighting the way for the change that we are making, who have pushed for a modern and forward-thinking way of supporting these children who need real help, especially in the nation that locks people up at the highest rate in the world. Let me take a moment to highlight just a few of those advocates and activists. First, of course, Matt DeMatteo and the team here at New Life Centers, who operate excellent programs working directly with children, and thank you for hosting us today. Advocates like the Illinois Justice Project, the Northwestern Children and Family Justice Center, the John Howard Association, the ACLU of Illinois, and the Office of Independent Juvenile Ombudsman, who continue, all of them, to push the state toward realizing the system that we all deserve. Community partners like youth advocacy programs and urban life skills, youth outreach services, and Story Catchers Theater, all of whom have been dedicated to working with our youth as they are, and continue to be willing to adapt, evolve, and innovate with us. The dedicated administrators and employees of the Department of Juvenile Justice who have worked so hard continuously to improve our practice and to help youth and families achieve better outcomes. And to the General Assembly members who have been advocates for children in juvenile justice. There are, frankly, too many members of the General Assembly to call out to mention here today, but I would especially like to highlight the work, of course, of Senator Staines, who joined us here today, of Senate President Harman, Senator Peters, Representative Hernandez, thank you for being here, Representative Slaughter, you too, and Representative LaPointe. As well as former, and did I mention Hernandez? Did I mention you, Lisa? Thank you. And as well the former legislators who've done so much work, especially our current Attorney General, Kwame Raoul. Building on the work of these leaders, I am here today to affirm this administration's commitment to writing a new narrative for Illinois, for the children of Illinois, one that serves as a beacon of justice in the nation. In the first 18 months of my governorship, we've funded training programs so people who are incarcerated can gain skills to get a job when they return home. We've added incentives for educational and wellness programs that through sentencing credits. We've established a law giving young people facing long sentences the opportunity to seek parole. We've banned private correctional centers and private immigration detention centers that earn their profits off of Donald Trump's unconscionable immigration policies. And we increased voting access for pretrial detainees by putting a physical polling place in the Cook County Jail for those who are eligible to vote, and by authorizing a vote by mail program in all of our other counties. In June of 2019, I signed into law one of the most substantial criminal justice reforms in the nation, and that was the legalization of cannabis, with the first ever focus on providing benefits to the communities that have been so ill affected by the war on drugs. And last January, Lieutenant Governor Stratton and I announced our commitment to comprehensive criminal justice reform that brings an end to the cash bail system, reduces excessive lengths of stay in prison, and increases reentry and rehabilitation support services. And because we have more to do, I want to just pledge to you, we look forward to working with the legislators, with the advocates, with the broader community in the coming months toward holistic and systemic change of our criminal justice system. With that, I want to turn it over to a young man who can really testify to the impact of access to new opportunities, like the work he does now at the Northwestern University Children and Family Justice Center, someone who demonstrates to all of us just how much growth our young people can achieve when we just give them a chance. I'm proud to introduce to you Diasi Scott. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Diasi Scott. I am 21 years old. And when I was 15, I was charged as an adult for a crime I committed. And I grew up in a very violent neighborhood, but I do not use that as any excuse, because I live with my actions every day. 23 months after I was charged as an adult, I was dropped to a juvenile because of a law which required you to be 16 to be charged as an adult. At the end, to determine whether the new law should apply to me, the victim mother agreed that I should be a juvenile. The word that she said was, "I don't believe we should lose 2 children's lives today." And those words stick with me every day. Because for me to have someone to believe I deserve a second chance at life is a blessing. I served 5 years in 3 different state youth prisons, most of them very far from my family, and was hard for me. When I got out, I was fortunate to become a participant in DJJ's Community-Based Service Youth Advocate Program, better known as YAP. YAP is a community-based alternative to youth incarceration that provides wraparound service to young people like me at home in our communities to better ourselves. YAP matched me with my advocate, Omar, which is with me today. Omar, he helps me, he motivates me a lot. So I wanted to go to NIU, I applied, and I really got accepted, and I'm so happy. But due to coronavirus, I got to attend the school. So YAP is a program that helps us connect me with support, like education, career, family, and mental health needs. And one of the things that I was connected with when I was incarcerated was Northwestern University, which is focused on reimagining the juvenile justice in Illinois. Through YAP, I also have another job, which one summer program. I've done that. And I'm involved with Free Right, which was another program that was given to me while I was incarcerated. With all my encouragement, I've done a lot of things, and I'm proud to say that I am working to stop reincarceration with youth. But in the meantime, I'm staying focused and on track to avoid reincarceration myself due to coronavirus. And so, by this being said, I am a proud, as a YAP and Northwestern individual who work with them, to say that I want to help and stop reincarceration by youth. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce Director Mule.
Thank you all for being here today. I am so grateful to be here announcing this plan for transformation with all of you. And I am grateful to work for a governor and a lieutenant governor who truly care about people and want to do right by them. I am so proud to be standing here today as part of a plan for transformation that I believe truly does right by the people of Illinois. We are talking here today first about a juvenile justice model that does right by children and families who are impacted by that system, and will ensure that it does right by including the voices of those children and families in the new model. For too long, we have treated children involved in the justice system, especially Black children, like they are less than human, like they do not need the same love, support, and opportunity that other children need to grow and thrive. We have kept them separated from their families and far from home. As the governor noted in his remarks, the old way of business has not been effective in rehabilitating youth or protecting public safety. We have now decades of research and evidence in a growing number of fellow states showing us what does work. And all of that research and evidence boils down to a simple principle. When it comes to changing young lives for the better, love, nurturing, and connection work better than fear, loathing, and isolation. The 21st century Illinois transformation model is built on the understanding that youth in our care are valuable and worth investment, and that families are key partners in the solution and the most important connection that kids have. The model is based on research, evidence, and experience demonstrating that kids need to have hope for their future in order to strive for something better, and that as public servants and as adults and as parents, it is our duty and obligation to help them find their way to that hope. What we are talking about here today is also a model that does right by communities. The 21st century Illinois transformation model includes purposeful investment in communities that have been impacted by harmful policies, segregation, disinvestment, and violence, helping the communities that need it most build capacity to support their young people into adulthood. I'm especially excited about how this model will intentionally invest in victim services in communities hit hardest by violence, acknowledging that our current system does little to directly support victims, and that more than 90% of the kids in our system were victims before they were offenders. We are also talking today about a model that does right by the hardworking and dedicated employees of DJJ some of whom are here with us today. This model does not starve the children or employees in the juvenile justice system of resources. Instead, this model recognizes that the people we serve matter, and the people who are doing the serving matter. The vision of this model is for humane living conditions for young people, but also for healthier and safer working conditions for the public servants who dedicate their careers to helping Illinois' most vulnerable and high-needs youth. It matters a lot to me and the committed employees of DJJ that the model does not propose to eliminate jobs, but instead aims to ultimately put our workers in better environments and use their valuable time and skills more effectively. Finally, we are talking today about a model that does right by Illinois. The 21st century Illinois transformation model is about collaborating with other agencies, including the Department of Corrections, to better meet the needs of our populations and use state resources more efficiently and effectively. At DJJ, we've been tied to an outdated model with too much space, too little developmentally appropriate design, and too little access for families. Our colleagues, on the other hand, are in need of more space and an opportunity to better meet the needs of their population. The plan for transformation relies on renovating existing properties, some of which have been going to waste for years, to better meet both agencies' needs and better aligning capacity with need. The result will be a 21st century juvenile justice system for Illinois, a model that puts state resources to better use and produces better results for everyone. A few days ago, I forced my often put upon and very supportive husband to read through a PowerPoint presentation that laid out the plan for transformation. His response was, "The right answer is so obvious, but this is government." I am so grateful to be standing here today with leaders who see the right answer and recognize that the role of government should be to stand up for it. So one of those leaders who is here with us today is Senator Heather Stearns, who I will call up to the podium next, who has been instrumental in legislation that has brought us to this place and has made a 21st century transformation model possible.
I will be very brief. President Obama once said that caring for our children is our first job, that if we don't get that right, we get nothing right. As a society, that's how we're going to be judged. Now, locking up kids in detention facilities and prisons is clearly not right. It's a failed policy, leads to more trauma for the kids. It keeps them less connected to their families, to their schools, to their communities, and it's been downright racist. Moving towards these small facilities, more regional, and keeping kids in communities has been demonstrated to work by many, many states, including places like New York, California, Missouri, Vermont very recently. It does three things better. It provides better accountability for kids and helps them actually achieve positive behavioral change much better. It helps dismantle our persistent racist disparities in how we treat youth and helps us more equitably treat people of color. And it has a better return on investment. So I'm going to leave it right there and really just want to thank the director and her whole team, our lieutenant governor and our governor for really taking this incredibly bold step and putting out this marker to do right by our kids. Thank you very much. And I get to now have the honor of introducing Representative Slaughter, who's been working at this all of his career, and more recently also having to do it while juggling little kids at home during the pandemic, which is not easy for any of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Stearns. Good morning, everyone. State Rep Justin Slaughter. This is great. This is awesome to be here, not just as a current legislator, but a part of the IDJJ team, just as a former Deputy Director of Programs for the agency. Just a little bit of context here. When the state created the Department of Juvenile Justice, we back in 2006, We did this with the understanding that youth are different. Youth are different than adults mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, behaviorally. Adolescents are still evolving and still developing. And the biggest objectives and goals were to bring a more therapeutic, rehabilitative youth approach that was a family-centered approach and more of a community integration strategic approach. This new innovative residential model epitomizes and exemplifies, I think, the agency's efforts to achieve those goals and to bring those objectives to reality. I'd like to really just take a moment to commend Governor Pritzker, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, and IDJJ Director Mueller for their efforts. If you're keeping score and paying attention, this is not the only criminal justice / juvenile justice initiative that this great administration has had a positive impact on. I feel like this won't be the last one either. They're doing tremendous things, and it's worth noting. The new residential model will do a lot of things. First of all, it keeps youth, it provides a youth-friendly environment. And as you've heard, it keeps youth closer to their communities of origin. And equally important, this will facilitate programs and services that will allow for increased family support and development. It will also facilitate stronger community-based interventions and wraparound services that we know are so vital and so critical. And then lastly, and one thing that the director did touch on, I think this is also a fiscally responsible approach to not just impacting IDJJ, but also our adult population within the Department of Corrections. It's my understanding that the transformation will be utilizing the former IYC facilities for more specific programming with the adult population within the Department of Corrections. So this is a win-win. I'm looking forward to the department implementing this great initiative, and I think we all are looking forward to our youth becoming positive, productive citizens, and we're just grateful that we're moving in the right direction. With that said, Mr. Governor, I think I'm bringing you back up to answer some questions, maybe?
Sure. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, and I just want to briefly say before I take questions, how frankly exciting this is for me and for many of us in the room here. This is, I mean, truly the word transformative is in the title, but this is transformation. This is what you go into public service to do, to make things better for people and to truly transform systems that haven't been working, to make them truly work for the people that we serve. And so I'm very excited, and I must just say that you can't help but get excited about it from start to finish when you've got Heidi Mueller in charge. Honestly, she's been amazing. So that having been said, and I hope that she'll get a chance to answer some of your questions about the plan as well, but happy to take any questions that you may have.
Governor, I guess I'm an unofficial pool today, but some on-topic questions here. So how many facilities are you looking at, and where do you envision these being?
So I'm going to let Heidi talk to you a little bit about how we intend to change the existing facilities and where these kids come from and where they'll go.
Hello. So the Department of Juvenile Justice currently has 5 facilities located throughout the state. 50% of our youth population comes from the northern region of Illinois, about 40% of our population comes from central Illinois, and about 11% of our population comes from southern Illinois. Currently, our facility locations are pretty much spread between northern and southern Illinois, and we have nothing in central Illinois. Our goal is to make sure that kids are placed in the region that they come from, and so part of the investment will involve investing in some placements in central Illinois so that kids can remain closer to their families there.
Do you, and maybe this is for the governor or you, whoever, do you have concerns about the not in my backyard mentality that people may fear, not wanting this facility in their backyard kind of thing?
I'm happy to try. I think we should answer together,
Okay,
though,
sure.
honestly, Heidi. But let me just say, I do not have those concerns. I mean, this is the right way to run a juvenile system, to assist the families, to assist these children. We're going to get better outcomes. Remember, the results here are about public safety. And you do get better public safety results when these children are better cared for. That's the ultimate goal of a juvenile justice system in the end.
I also think an exciting thing about this transformation is that unlike maybe some similar moves in the past or in other places, we have an opportunity here in Illinois to really do this the right way. This governor and this lieutenant governor are really committed to being open and transparent with this process and bringing all the stakeholders in to shape it together. And I think that is the right way to do it. And I think that is going to resolve some of the issues that folks might have by sort of just dumping a system on them that they don't have a say in.
How do you measure success in this? I mean, obviously, this is something that's good.
Sorry,
How will you measure success of this new program?
Well, I'm going to let you, so again, I hate to turn over to Heidi, but listen, this is, just so you know, Heidi has been running this department since before I became governor. And when I came in as governor, and usually when you change parties, a lot of times you're changing leaders of departments, everybody in the juvenile justice world said to me, you have to keep Heidi in place. She is the best. And I spent a lot of time with Heidi, and I have to say, I agree with them. So go ahead. Puts it all on you.
Okay, sorry. So can you repeat the question, because that just got me off.
How will you measure success?
That's a great question. So traditionally, juvenile justice has been measured, success in juvenile justice has been measured by recidivism. And recidivism is defined as the percentage of kids who return to the system within 3 years. That is one way to measure, and that is definitely something that we care about. We want to make sure that when kids leave our system, they are successful and they don't reoffend and they don't return. But I think that we miss the boat if we don't think about other positive outcomes, like education, like going to NIU, like having a job, like stability in housing, being able to take care of yourself and have the skills to live independently. Those are also measures of success that we really care about and that this model will help us achieve.
Other questions?
Yeah,
Members of the media?
Had a couple off topic for you, Governor, if you don't mind.
I just want to make sure if there was anybody else on topic, and then we can move off topic. No? Okay. Yes, sir.
Republican members of Congress today are calling for more transparency in the way that the CARES money is distributed. They point to a report that says Illinois has received $3.5 billion and spent only $500 million, I think is the numbers, 14%. They're asking for more transparency. Can you explain where this money is and
Sure.
why more has not been spent?
Well, the legislature allocated that money in the budget, so it's all transparently in the budget. That's the way it was done here in Illinois. The legislature met in late May to do that, and then the reason that the money hasn't been entirely spent is, of course, we entered a new fiscal year. That's what the budget that was passed in May was about. So much of that money will be spent in the last half of this calendar year, and is intended to be used, as the legislature has outlined.
Yesterday, we heard more calls for Mike Madigan to resign, and he put out a forceful statement last night saying, I will not resign after talking to members of my caucus. Where do you stand on that? And I have a follow-up after that.
Sure. He continues to have unanswered questions hanging out there. He needs to stand up and answer those questions. I've said this from the very beginning. I believe that people who serve the public interest, people who get elected to public office, have a duty to be transparent and to live up to the integrity that's demanded by the public for their public service. He needs to stand up and answer these questions because people have serious questions about those things in any public servant that isn't willing to do that. And I've made that clear.
Do you think The other thing, Kelly Cassidy made concerns yesterday that this could hurt the fair tax or the progressive tax effort in the fall, that his staying on as Speaker of the House. Do you share those concerns?
Look, I think the values of Democrats and the quality of the candidates and the public servants that we put forward for offices, not just in the General Assembly, but up and down the ticket, and not to mention the leader of our ticket this year, Joe Biden, that we demonstrate that these are a high-quality group of people with real values and with a mission to lift up working families. That's why people are going to show up and vote, and that's why I think people will vote for a fair tax system.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.